Hello, hello. How is everyone feeling? We just cleared the long Virgo void of course moon. So it is about a quarter till 3 a.m. on a moon night on the Gregorian calendar. It's a Tuesday. And it's a Venus hour. So yeah, there's a lot of changes that have been happening. I'm actually reporting from what's been called my little clubhouse. So I have a loft. I moved some things around, and yeah, I felt the impulse to exert this energy into my home situation. And whole sign, I have a Aries fourth house, but my MC is in Taurus. My IC is in Taurus. And I am aware that Uranus moved into Gemini. How can we not know about this unprecedented shift? And I'm currently where'd it go? Redoing my Uranus in Gemini presentation that I did for Synchronicity University last summer. And when that will be available is a good question. There's been a lot of opportunities that have arisen, which I'm super grateful for and excited to contribute to. And at the same time, I feel like I'm still reporting from this chrysalis phase that I know I'll speak for myself. I feel like I'm still in just getting my bearings, trying to get my footing as to what the next step is. Getting rid of a bunch of stuff and just changing up the energy. Give you a little tour. Doesn't take much, but yeah, my desk was over there, and you might recognize that background. Don't mind the mess, but yeah. But yeah, Uranus in Gemini, that happened on the 25th, evening of the 25th of April, and it was in Gemini last summer from July to November, and so we had that little taste of Uranus in Gemini, and now we are fully into Gemini for the next 7 years, and I feel like it's kind of like that last key for the splendid relaunch of civilization per Audrey Barbault. That talent, is it it's like the magical basket, or I forget what some people are calling it, but it's the trine from Uranus to Pluto. So Uranus in Gemini to Pluto in Aquarius, and then they are sextiling Neptune in Aries, and Saturn is also in Aries, which Saturn is moved on a bit to about 8 degrees Aries now, and Neptune's at, I believe, 2 degrees. And so they're creating this this part of a kite formation, which will, whenever the moon is in Libra, or if you have any planets or points in Libra, it creates this kite formation with the talent triangle with Aries at the apex of that talent triangle. And so that's creating this beautiful basket. Let me see if I have an example. And I've been doing amazing yearly reports, which would include this basket. What the heck? Where is it? And so it's good to know where these fall in your chart, because that's where you're being asked to contribute to the collective, and it can show up and come out of nowhere where these skills that you're remembering are being they're like resurfacing, and where did it go? They are resurfacing and meant to be shared with the world, because these are gifts that you came into this world with, and they're meant to be shared to help with the evolution and healing of the collective. So pretty exciting stuff. Let me just show you an example of what this, like the final key, Uranus moving into Gemini, because Pluto's been in Aquarius for the past couple years. Neptune moved into Aries in end of January, and Saturn is there as well, and now Uranus has left Taurus. So it is this configuration here. Can't turn this around. So I don't know if you can see that. This is just an example. Okay, so Jupiter will be moving into Leo in July, which will create an opposition between Pluto and Jupiter. And then the trine between Jupiter and Neptune will form basket. And then between each of those planets, there is a sextile. So between Jupiter and Leo and Uranus and Gemini is a sextile. And then Uranus in Gemini and Neptune in Aries is a sextile. And Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius is another sextile. And that creates some beautiful creative opportunities for us to take advantage of. And these are outer planets that have to do with our higher mind and our bigger collective. Uranus is considered the higher octave of Mercury, and so Mercury is more of the mundane, day-to-day, like communication, commerce, travel, and Uranus, in my opinion, is more of the higher mind on the level of collective awareness, where we can, in the sign of Gemini, like Gemini is the type to have the ability of quickly, like quick wit and fast moving, always wanting to know what's on the other side of the coin or the other end of the spectrum. And you know, it's got that trickster energy. And with Uranus in the sign of Gemini, Uranus is already also a lightning bolt kind of energy, where things happen suddenly, like unexpected events. And Uranus, the job of Uranus is to liberate the soul so that we can all come to true authenticity. It is the ruler of Aquarius, the modern ruler of Aquarius. And so with Uranus in the sign of Gemini, our level of mental processing is going to quicken, and things can come to fruition immediately. And also, Gemini is the north node of Uranus. So every planet has a north and south node, just like the moon has a north and south node. Right now, the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo. So those are the moon's nodes. North node in Pisces and south node in Virgo. For Uranus, the north node of Uranus is in Gemini, and the south node is in Sagittarius. And they've been in Gemini and Sagittarius for as long as like thousands of years. I went back to, I think, the year 826, and it was only in the beginning degrees of Gemini. And currently, the nodes of Uranus, they kind of wobble back and forth, so they go forward and backward, they retrograde, similar to the moon's nodes, but they stay longer in those particular degrees. And right now they're in the like in the second decan, like 15 degrees, 13, 14, 15 degrees, 12, somewhere around there. I think around 2029, June of 2029 is when Uranus, our Uranus that we are experiencing now, will be conjunct the North Node of Uranus at around 15 degrees. So 15 degrees is also a world point, so that will be events taking place, you know, ideas, concepts that will be felt globally, if not universally. Like we, you know, can come into contact with beings from other universal cultures. We're already getting a taste of the possibilities of that now. And I mean, they've always been here. It's just a matter of disclosure, which it's probably a matter of our readiness, like whether humans can actually handle this truth. So, yeah, between now and then, it's only 3 years from now when Uranus meets up with the North Node of Uranus. And so, yeah, these will be some epic times that we're in. And yeah, it was interesting to notice how Uranus entered Gemini during a void of Course moon. So my mentor Sam Reynolds described void of Course moons as being like, if I have it correctly, like this process where you're trying to edit a document, but during the void of course it's kind of like you have this PDF to work with, so you can't really make any edits to a PDF. It is what it is. You don't have the access to the original document. The moon void of course doesn't have any connections or influence from any of the other planets or bodies, and so you are kind of stuck with what is happening at that moment. So Uranus moving into Gemini, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise. There's a lot of really cool supportive energies that soften the impact of this transit that none of us, unless we are 85 years old, have ever experienced before. And the last time that happened was in the 1940s during, I think it was World War II. And this time around, the chart, the ingress chart, has a similar placements. Like last year when Uranus entered Gemini, Venus also entered Gemini just before Uranus, and so we have that again. And I feel like that is like a ushering in of like softer Venusian energies for Uranus to be welcomed with. And at the same time, Venus is relationships, and so we can expect relationships to experience some turbulence. Like this has been happening for the past couple years, because there's a strong feeling of individuation, whether we want to admit it or not. We can feel this in the air. We can, feel it in the relationships. I think it was Gary Zurach who, he has this book. Where is it? The Seed of the Soul. And he has this one. He talks about how the souls now that are online are very different from like even 15 years ago. And so the relationships that these souls are now in essentially the souls are misaligned. They're not the same. They're not at the same frequencies as they were 15 years ago. Definitely not even like 5 years ago. And so people are, I mean, it's very rare, but there's been so many separations and people splitting up. But the souls that are able to, work together, like if they have kids, like co-parent on that level of understanding and, not taking things personally and knowing that everything is happening for a reason, and also there is a way to heal through it, as long as both parties are willing to have patience and understanding with one another. Like, it's probably easier than it sounds, but yeah, that is the reason for so much destabilization and turbulence in relationships right now. So with Uranus and Gemini, this is going to be a rewriting of the narratives that we have witnessed in our lineages, like seeing our parents treat one another, how those roles have been passed down to us. And I mean, we've been realizing how those roles are outdated now. And I mean, Uranus is also making contact with a lot of asteroid goddesses, and one of them, Sedna, which is I think it's at 1 degree Gemini, but it's also making aspects to so many other underrated goddesses that are now coming to the surface and getting louder, and so the feminine voice is getting stronger, and we're coming to realize how the feminine voice has been horribly suppressed over the past hundreds of years, like to some ridiculous degrees of, torture and shame and what do you call that? Gaslighting, for sure. But yeah, the level of the truth that's coming out is, it's surging, and feminine rage is to be expected. So, that's something to be aware of and something to embrace. And you want to take your time observing and using discernment with the information that you receive, and not reacting, and just making sure that the information is, so just using more discernment, like somatic discernment, to determine whether the information that is coming across our feed or whatever it might be, whether it is actually like how it's being presented, the tone, and like just everything about it has to be taken into consideration before reacting, because there can be multiple truths that exist within that one piece of news or post or article. But if we take the time to slow down and read between the lines, we want to make sure we're not feeding more of what we don't want. And so there's definitely options on how to approach these various secrets being revealed, or whatever it might be. But we just want to be really discerning with the energy that we use to respond to those articles. So yeah, there's going to be, for the next 7 years at least, a lot more, I feel like, reversals. We're going to see narratives completely shift to a 180, and it's already happening, and realizing how much deception has been put on us, like just so subtly and smoothly, and it's this faith in ourselves and in one another that we are really being asked to employ, as opposed to putting like faith into external authorities. Yeah, so with the trine to Pluto, it's definitely a rebellion against those powers that shouldn't be, and the power returning back to the people, like moving to a matriarchal system, which, yeah, it's not the female version of patriarchy. It is more cyclical, regenerative. It's not like this hierarchical system. But yeah, that's kind of like the cosmic eye view. And on a personal level, this can definitely shake up the mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Really shaking us out of, this kind of wishy-washiness. And I think it's really, with Neptune in Aries, the dreams of our collective independence, which is, it sounds like a paradox, but, we're breaking free from an authoritative system, and we're coming together collectively to build our own sovereignty. And I think that's going to take some getting used to, because it's been generations of programming that we are unlearning. So another part of the Uranus and Gemini is unlearning. Like, the unlearning curve is steep. Like, we're just barely into Uranus and Gemini. So many narratives are being rewritten, which means a lot of traditions and roles, like gender roles, will definitely be unraveling, as they have been, which, it hasn't been easy for anyone who is like not in a pretty box, like cisgender. Like, it has been difficult for trans and queers. Now there's like so many more categories, like queer-minded. Like, come to think of it, yeah, I definitely feel queer-minded, but not attracted to the same sex, like, unfortunately, the way things are going now. But yeah, there's a wider spectrum of, I guess, gender identification. And yeah, we'll come to realize how many constructs have been created to keep us divided. And raising our kids is going to be so magical. Like, I'm so excited for the new babies, the new souls that are coming online. Yeah, super excited for these energies and seeing how they play out in each human. But yeah, on a day-to-day level, like, just expect the unexpected. Magic can actually manifest whether you believe it or not. So yeah, just more of what we want the future to be, to look like, to feel like, is definitely in our power, despite what we have been programmed to believe. So Uranus and Gemini, air signs will definitely have a moment for some, major brilliant moves, and that's exactly what we need right now. The fire and air signs will definitely be working together to collaborate and bring all these brilliant ideas to the collective. And yeah, that's super exciting. And earth signs and water signs will be able to well, I mean, it's hard to say relax, but because for the past, I don't know how many years with Uranus and Taurus and Neptune and Pisces, like, between the two of those, it was like 14 years. Um, Now, those earth and water signs, yeah, it's going to be a shift. It's going to take some getting used to, because like the pace at which we are going will be a lot faster than what earths and waters are used to. Um, so yeah, it's definitely important to have those grounding practices in place, those breathing exercises. Um, so the soma breath, where you inhale for 2 and exhale for 4, and like hold the exhale for as long, like each exhale for as long as you can. There's like a whole mechanism that happens when you're able to do that. And also, who is it? Santos Bonacci, I think his name is, has a lot of really incredible information on how the brain works. Yeah, it's going to be rabbit holes after rabbit holes after rabbit holes. So yeah, welcome to Uranus and Gemini until 2033. And air signs, fire signs will definitely feel a pep in the step, I guess you could say. But yeah, at the same time, we want to keep those grounding practices, keep a hold of our breath, and have that discernment where, we are not taking in and absorbing just any kind of news, and we're like sitting with it, reading between the lines, and determining whether this piece of information is being used to enlighten us or to invoke a certain emotion. So we have those choices, and we have the power to co-create, consciously co-create what we want to see, how we want to see the world from this point forward. So super exciting times. What a time to be aligned. And yeah, I hope we are all aware of what is happening on those ethereal levels, and can just kind of combat the forces that are trying to hold on to the past. So we are moving forward and doing it with intentionality and in like deep respect with the laws of nature. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and please do reach out if you'd like to see how these configurations are playing out in your chart. This is definitely a time to be aligned and be aware of how to use them to your advantage, so that you're able to sleep better at night, operate, function, navigate these changes with a lot more grace for yourself as well as for your fellow humans and animals and earth, so, and plants. But yeah, hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that was helpful, and thank you again for sticking around. See you on the next one. Ciao.